Brethren lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. JOAO CANCELO has an agreement with Manchester City to leave and has apparently given the green light to join Arsenal if a fee can be agreed. We're going to be talking about Ivan Fresneda and Federico Chiesa. Now, it looks like Newcastle and Arsenal are both interested in signing Federico Chiesa, who will be leaving Juventus this summer. It's not an easy deal. Chiesa is one of those players that are going to be widely linked with a couple of clubs. Big talent, big player, and big teams are going to be trying to sign him. But of course, we'll be talking about Federico Chiesa. Since yesterday, couple of reports are saying Chiesa could be on his way to the Premier League. We'll be talking about Kieran Tierney. Now, according to a few sources, Newcastle are very confident Tierney will sign for them this summer, despite the fact that Arsenal look at Newcastle as a potential rival for the top four and probably for the Premier League title in the coming years. They believe Kieran Tierney will sign for them in a deal worth around £35 million, okay? And Manchester City are very skeptical about selling to Arsenal again. After Alexander Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus having such great seasons at Arsenal, it seems Manchester City are now very, very skeptical about selling players to Arsenal, and that could be a very big hindrance between us and JOAO CANCELO signing. But we'll be talking about all that in the video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's have our conversations in the comment box below about all these deals: CANCELO, Tierney, Chiesa, and Manchester City feeling that, you know, selling players to Arsenal is a little bit more of a risk after we gave them a very good run for their money last season. Right, so let's get into it. Today it has been reported widely that Arsenal have held another round of talks with Manchester City to sign JOAO CANCELO, and it's still very, very positive that Manchester City have not chased Arsenal away, right? They've not refused to sell to us. They're not refusing to sell to us. The only difference in here is that Arsenal value the player at around 35, or that is what we want to pay, and Manchester City would love to get around £50 million. Now, there is a concrete agreement between JOAO CANCELO and Manchester City for him to leave this summer. He won't be joining any of the clubs that he thought he would be joining this summer: Bayern, Barcelona, Juventus, and all those big clubs. And it looks like Manchester City do not want to keep him. So they've told him, if you can get a good move away from the Etihad Stadium, if you can get a good move away from this project, you can definitely walk. There is no going back. According to what I understand from Fabrizio Romano, they will not negotiate a stay of CANCELO next season. So he won't be staying. He's been told, you can leave, you can go. So there is that mutual agreement that CANCELO has. He can go anywhere as long as Manchester City get their money. So we've been talking to JOAO CANCELO and his representatives, like I reported a few days ago, and it seems that we have a breakthrough. Now, JOAO CANCELO, at first, it was thought that he doesn't want to stay in England and he would love to go to either Germany, Italy, or Spain as priority. However, talking to Mikel Arteta and maybe talking to the entourage at Arsenal, it now seems like JOAO CANCELO has already given us the green light that we can go on, agree a deal with Manchester City and sign him. Now, listen, I think with CANCELO, it's always going to be about the player. It's never going to be about Manchester City. It's always going to be about the player. Now, we know Pep doesn't really keep players that don't want to be there. He always sells his players at the right time. Gabriel Jesus, Alexander Zinchenko, Bernardo Silva, all these players are leaving right at the right time, right? So City do not want to let him stay for another season and probably lose more money than they should have lost, than they have already lost, or get less money than they should have got from his sale. So it's going to be about CANCELO. If he can lock in on Arsenal, if he can say, yes, he wants to join Arsenal, but if you can tell Manchester City that I want you to agree a deal with Arsenal, that's where I want to go, then definitely we will have the upper hand in signing JOAO CANCELO. So the situation with the fee and payment structure is this. Arsenal are set to send in a 35 million bid for Joao Cancelo. They think that is enough. He's 29. He has a bad relationship with the manager at Manchester City, and he's not going to stay there. There is an agreement for him to go. So they believe around 35 million pounds should be enough to get the deal done over the line. Manchester City, of course, were looking at around 70 million. That is what they told Bayern Munich, that if you pay us 70 million, you can keep Joao Cancelo. And now looking at around 50 million pounds in Joao Cancelo, and that price will be going down significantly. It will reduce significantly time in, time out. So we have a lot of positives for us to talk about here when it comes to Joao Cancelo and the deal. First and foremost, if we are going to lose Kieran, like we're going to talk about in the next piece of story, if you're going to lose Kieran for 35 million pounds and get that same 35 million pounds and sign Joao Cancelo, that is grande business. That is master business, right? Listen, Cancelo has one of the best left foots in the world, and he also has one of the best right foots in the world. Like literally, Joao Cancelo is the true definition of a once in a lifetime player. You don't see them come about all the time. I think Cancelo and Kingsley Coman have something something in common. Kingsley Coman started out at Juve as a left back, like one of the best left backs we thought he was gonna become, and then eventually became one of the best left wingers in world football. And that is why Cancelo, I think Cancelo can become a right winger, he can become a left winger, he can become a right back, a left back. You can put him wherever you want on the pitch and he will do the job. He's just as talented, he's just as gifted as they come, in my opinion. So for me, it's a very good piece of business that Arsenal are looking to drastically drop down the price from 70, cut it into half, and then let Kieran go for 35, get that 35, pay it on Joao Cancelo. It's a marvelous deal. He covers for Alexander Zinchenko. And of course, we know the quality he has when he drops into midfield. We know the creativity he can drop into, drop into that Arsenal side. Of course, it would mean that Alexander Zinchenko has something to worry about. Right now, Zinchenko is like, he's flying. He knows what he gives Arsenal, no one offers. But if you bring in a player like Joao Cancelo, and that's why I think it would be very key and very important for us, if he signs, it means that we can easily rotate Alexander Zinchenko with Joao Cancelo. That is number one. But then it also means that our both of our fullback positions are going to be creating a lot of chances. Now, I don't think that him agreeing to join us has anything to do with Arsenal being the priority to sign him. Barca can come in at any point in time, or any other big club can come in at any point in time. But I reckon he will still want UEFA Champions League football, and he will still want a club that will guarantee him chances to start every single time. But listen, there is a reason as to why Mikel Arteta has made him a priority right from the beginning. Yes, he's worked with him and he has a good relationship with him. Of course, we know Mikel and players he has relationships with. It makes it easier for us to sign them. But I also think that he would make Saka, and Arteta knows this, that Cancelo makes Saka a much better player, because Cancelo in himself is a threat. There's no question about that. But his ability to create chances for Bukayo Saka, we could see Saka's numbers rising from 15, 14 goals a season to 20. And then he can start looking into the 20s, scoring 20 goals per season in no competition. I think Joao Cancelo would actually give us that, because one, it means that Saka wouldn't have to travel with the ball right from the center line into the final third. Cancelo does that. All Saka has to do is wait, hold the width of the pitch, wait until Cancelo drops that ball, and then exchange a few quality passes with Cancelo, Odegaard, and then boom, He's through, and he's going to be scoring a couple of goals. He's going to be scoring huge amounts of goals. You remember, many of the goals that he's been scoring and many of the chances he's getting are coming from, Martin Odegaard. So if you can add a player like JOAO CANCELO, who can create as many chances for Saka to run through, he can thread through those balls as many as they come. CANCELO is such a quality player. He's such a quality signing. Now, it's been reported by the Mirror that Manchester City are very, very skeptical about selling quality players to Arsenal after Arsenal did give them a run for their money in the last season. Yes, 248 days on top of the Premier League table. It was scary for Manchester City. It was really, really scary. I know at some point in time they reached a point where they're like, if those boys don't get the fever, we are losing the Premier League title, right? But eventually we got the fever. That was a bonus to them for keeping around. If they didn't keep around, if they had given up on the Premier League, maybe even if we had fallen off, we could have still won it. But I don't think Manchester City will refuse to sell players to Arsenal. I don't think Manchester City will go, well, Arsenal did very well last season due to Zinchenko and Odegaard and Jesus, so we are not selling any more players to them. I don't think Manchester City will do that. And in this position, they don't have a lot of control. They have to look at FFP rules. I understand they will sign a player like maybe Kovacic this summer. They might go for another banger, like huge signing. So, I mean, 35 million pounds or 40 million pounds. That is very good money. That is actually very, very good money. I don't think you turn it down just because you're afraid of Arsenal, okay? Yeah, of course, strengthening your rivals might be one of the things that they don't want to do, especially now that they have had, they played in each and every single game available on the planet. Like literally, they played in each and every game this season until the finals of the UEFA Champions League. 38 games in the Premier League, all the games in the FA Cup. Apart from the Carabao Cup, that's the only competition where they have not played all games. But the rest of the competitions, they played all games. So there will be that kind of burnout. There will be that kind of, mental block, in my opinion. We've won everything. How do we go again to defend everything that we have actually won? There will be things like that, so psychological blocks and fatigue and burnout. And if you look at a club like Arsenal that has 38 games of Premier League football, the rest of the competitions we dropped out early. You're looking at a new Caicedo, you're looking at a new Rice, you're looking at a new JOAO CANCELO who's not played much last campaign. You're looking at maybe, right, potentially, maybe Florian Balogun coming back, and you're looking at a new centre-back as well. Arsenal will have so many young, fresh players in our side, and that could actually propel us forward to go even above 84 points and go and maybe go to 92 points, maybe go to 93 points. We've done so many things right. Maybe defensively, we can work on that. The defensive midfield as well. Rice coming in, it adds the security. Caicedo coming in, it adds the security. Yeah, so City could be thinking about how do we not strengthen our rivals, but they will be thinking about how do we balance the books. We need the money, and in my opinion, Cancelo to Arsenal. If we get to agree on the price, he will sign, despite the fact that we have had so many successes with ex-City players. Now, Newcastle are very confident that Kieran Tierney will sign for them in a 35 million deal this summer. Aston Villa are also there to try to sign Kieran Tierney. A couple of other clubs are also interested in the Scottish fullback. Mikel Arteta has just made it very clear that the system we play and the system Kieran Tierney grew up playing are parallel, and they're inconsolable. Like, you can't harmonize the two. And although it's such a big shame, I still think that Arsenal will need to raise some money in terms of player sales. So Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding, Florian Balogun, Eddie Nketiah, these are players, Xhaka, these are players that we have to move on and then build that super cream de la cream. I've been looking at this interside that's going to play Manchester City in the UEFA Champions League final. They are marvelous. They have Gossens and DiMarco at left back. They have Damian at right centre back, who can play at right back as well. They have Danzo Dumfries at right back. They have Milan Skriniar, Asabi, and Bastoni at centre back. What kind of team is that? That is, you know when you play FIFA and you go in the Italian Serie A and pick creme de la creme. I think that is that is what Inter are about. Look at their goalkeeper Andre Onana. They literally do not have one single bad player in their team. Like, they do not have one single bad player in their team. Right from the defense, in midfield, Brazovic, Mkhitaryan, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, and then literally Barella, right? That is like cream again. And then up top, Zeko, Lautaro, Lukaku. Like, I think that is where Arsenal want to go, right? And for me, look, there is something I've learned with Italian football in the last 5 years. You look at the last 5 years, Juventus have a trophy there, Inter have a trophy there, Napoli have a trophy there, and AC Milan have a trophy there. Those are 4 clubs that that have been exchanging the Scudetto. And what is interesting here is that 3 of those clubs have just rebuilt themselves in the last half a decade. Inter have just rebuilt themselves in the last 5 years. So have Inter Milan, and so have Napoli. So for me, Arsenal have a better shot at the title if we let go of all these players, raise our money in this transfer window, and bring in quality. And talking about quality, Arsenal interested in Federico Chiesa. Newcastle are also interested in Federico Chiesa as well. I see him play in the Premier League. Like, I really, really do. But it's one of those signings that one of those players that have these Atro-Vidal vibes. Like, it comes from Juve, goes to Bayern, then it goes to Barcelona, then it goes to Atletico Madrid, then rounds back to Italy. I see him like that. I don't see him as a player that will wake up with Premier League all over his mind. Although everyone says that the Premier League is the best league in the world, not every player thinks like that, certainly. So Chiesa, it wouldn't hurt. It really, really wouldn't hurt. But we'll talk. Trust me, we will talk let's talk at 8 p.m., right? Let's talk at 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. I'll be sharing my live stream and see if I can, get all the things to work together so that we can interact live. Let's talk Chiesa. Let's talk Chiesa. Let's talk Rice. Let's talk Caicedo. Let's do all that good stuff on the live stream. It will be coming up shortly. See you soon.